Okay, well, this video will be a fast fly-through of what is widely considered the #1 beach in the world, Playa Conchal. We just got back from Costa Rica, and there is just nothing like it. If you're new to the channel, my name is Jason, and on our first trip to Costa Rica, one of the things that we discovered was that there's just not a lot of great videos that really help you plan the details of a trip to Costa Rica. Lots of videos on YouTube about how beautiful Costa Rica is, how much everybody loves it, that's why you're planning a trip to Costa Rica. But not a lot of great videos that actually help you plan through the details of a trip. So after we got back from our first trip to Costa Rica, we decided to take all of the cinematic footage that we had shot, along with all of the details that we had researched, start putting them together into videos like this that we wish that we had had when we were planning our first trip. In this video, we're gonna hit 3 incredible features of Playa Conchal in hopes to just give you a jump start on your research on your trip to Playa Conchal. 2 and 3 are really opposite of one another, so let's dive right in. Nerdy beach pun intended. Feature number 1 as we think about Playa Conchal is the unique beach experience. This is what brings people to Playa Conchal. Playa Conchal is a gem with its soft white sand, along with the crystal blue water. It just makes this gorgeous destination. Playa Conchal means shell beach. The beach gets its name from the millions of tiny crushed shells that make up the sand, especially on the north end near the walk across to Brasilito. These shells not only create a unique experience just walking through it, but the sound of the waves as you just stand there, the sound of the water sifting through the shell. I mean, just listen to this for a second. All of this really means that the unique beach experience at Playa Conchal is once in a lifetime, but the reality is that once you've gone, it's gonna bring you back again and again. And that brings us to feature number 2. Feature number 2 is luxury beachfront resorts. Playa Conchal has these 2 resorts right there on the beach, and actually this is what's gonna make feature number 3 so surprising. Let's take a look at each one of these resorts individually, but we've also got a video that compares the 2 of these as well as a video individually on each one of the resorts, so you may wanna check those out later. The resorts are the Westin, Reserva Conchal, and the W Costa Rica. Each one has its own pros and cons, so let's just take a look at them real quick. The Westin is not a bad place for couples, but it's really designed, I think, for families. It's perfect for families who are wanting to get an all-inclusive resort on the beach at Playa Conchal. It has a gigantic pool, 8 restaurants, 5 bars. Obviously they have all kinds of kid-friendly activities, a kids club, game tables, and family-oriented excursions. It really just kind of makes the Westin the ideal place to stay for a family vacation. On the flip side, right next door on the beach is the W. The W Costa Rica, which really caters more to couples looking for a high-end experience. It's gonna run you about the same price per night, which one you're staying at. The difference being that the Westin is gonna be an all-inclusive package with all your meals included, whereas the W is not. What you're paying for at the W is just high-end luxury. They do have an all-inclusive package that you could add to it, but it is gonna be an additional expense. Whereas the Westin has 1 gigantic pool, the W has 2 smaller luxury pools. There's an infinity pool down by the beach, and then there's an adult-only pool, a little bit bigger, with a swim-up bar up in the kind of adult-only area, the upper portion of the resort. The W also has 3 bars, spa services, fitness center, and unique experiences like cooking classes, mixology classes. These are the only 2 places to stay that are directly on the beach at Playa Conchal. So if you're trying to decide between the 2, I'd encourage you to check out the more detailed videos that we have on each one. So these luxury resorts mean not only do you have all kinds of things like the golf course, spa services, a fitness center, restaurants, bars, pools, but then in addition to that, you go down to the beach, you're also gonna have horseback riding, kayaks, stand-up paddleboard, jet skis, hydrofoils, and the list just goes on and on. And when you consider all of that, that's what makes feature 3 really surprising. So let's get to feature 3 on Playa Conchal, and then we'll have some bonus content here for you at the end that nobody's really talking about. Feature number 3 is private seclusion. We were worried, honestly, with all that we just talked about, all that we knew was going to be available there, that we were going to get there. This place was going to feel more like a tourist trap than a breath of fresh air. But in spite of all of that luxury and all of those accommodations and offerings, it really is, there is a sense of privacy and seclusion, especially once you get out on the beach or you're walking through the jungle. You somehow always feel really surrounded by nature and secluded in a super relaxing way. It doesn't feel busy and touristy everywhere you go. You can walk just a few minutes down the beach into the jungle and have the place completely to yourself. The seclusion is really due in part to the fact that these are the only two places to stay on Playa Conchal, is the W or the Westin. Otherwise, you're staying down the street somewhere and having to drive in. And if that's the case, there's only two ways to access the beach. Neither one of them is very convenient. The first is over here. You've got to park over in Brasilito and then walk down Brasilito Beach and come over this crossover here. The second is on the opposite end over here. You have to drive off-road on muddy terrain, have a high clearance vehicle to get to this kind of rough and rugged parking area that's mostly just used by locals, but also just not very busy. But you add to that the fact that this beach is about 2 to 2.5 miles long. There is just a lot of beachfront on Playa Conchal, so it's pretty easy to find a place to have to yourself. It's really gonna stay this way permanently too when it comes to Playa Conchal, because one of the reasons that it is so private and secluded is because of Reserva Conchal. Reserva Conchal is the surrounding nature preserve. It's 2,300 acres of wildlife habitats, trails, and all that just ensures that the natural beauty of this area is going to be preserved. In the words of Jack Johnson, they won't be paving paradise to put up a parking lot. So despite the epic luxury of the resorts, we really felt secluded and immersed in nature the whole time that we were there. So a morning walk at the beach feels like this. And a stroll across the property at the W feels like this. And even in the middle of the day, right at the lounge chairs in front of the resort, one of our favorite things about this whole area is the constant wildlife encounters. It just seems like everywhere you turn, you are running into howler monkeys, exotic birds, animals that you don't know what they're called, lizards. Just kind of all adds to this sense of being totally surrounded by a natural paradise. If you're still here, then to reward you for sticking with me, I've got 3 bonus features to kind of turbocharge your research on your trip to Playa Conchal. The hiking trails, the food, and the problems. Let's jump into them really fast. You ready for this? Let me just say, if you've found value in this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments if you have any specific questions. We love to engage in the comments. We'd be glad to answer any questions that you have about Costa Rica and even consider what might be the next helpful video for us to make. In addition to the beach and the jungle, there are some killer hiking trails through Reserva Conchal. If you're staying at the Westin or the W, you can stop at the front desk and get one of the hiking trail maps. Let me encourage you though, they will rent you bikes and tell you that these are mountain biking trails. I'm a mountain biker. These are not mountain biking trails. They're way too steep to go up. You literally can't pedal up the hill, it is so steep, and they're way too steep to ride down safely. We've got a video for you about the trails. If that's your jam, check that out on our channel. Let's talk food for a second. The Westin is great for what it is. The all-inclusive package there is phenomenal. The food is incredible if you're into that sort of thing. But you may very well be the kind of person like us who actually prefers to have a more local experience. If that's the case, then paying for the all-inclusive package at the W and then trying to go out and pay for food at restaurants is pretty silly. I'd encourage you to stay at the W where there's not an all-inclusive package and don't pay the extra for their all-inclusive package. Instead, if you're a Marriott Bonvoy member, you can likely get them to throw in breakfast at the W for free, and then you've only got to think about lunch and dinner. There's a grocery store right down the street called Super Conchal. We hit that and picked up some food that we would snack on throughout the day. And then we enjoyed just kind of like putting together our own lunches and then going out to dinner. And there's a lot of fantastic restaurants there in the Guanacaste area to be able to enjoy local food both on a high end and also just hitting some of the sodas nearby. Finally, the problems. No place is all rainbows and unicorns. No place is perfect, including Playa Conchal. It is a wonderful place, but there are some challenges. I wouldn't think that any of these are a reason not to go, but you can decide for yourself by checking out our video, Top 3 Problems at Playa Conchal. Either way, that's gonna have you ready to go, knowing what those problems are and how to be prepared for them. Have a wonderful trip.